stability and the foundations of the United Nations. We thank those members of the Security Council who stood on the right side of the history. We also thank our regional partners in various mechanisms, including the OIC and Group of Friends of the Defense of the United Nations Charter, for their principled stand and their joint statement in condemning this aggression and supporting Iran's right to self-defense. Iran will continue to exercise its right to self-defense until Israeli regime aggression stops, or the international community, especially the Security Council, takes the meaningful action. Yesterday, we have sent another letter to address the Security General and Security Council, repeating our urgent request. We call the Security Council to condemn this act of aggression, hold the aggressors and their enabler accountable, take the urgent action to prevent further aggression. Inaction will only embolden the aggressor and weaken the rule of law.
I think that's very clear. The challenge is very clear, Your Excellency. I'm so sorry to interrupt, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but because we only have until 4 o'clock, where we're going to have a number of votes, and we have I think we may have about 10 questions for you. Would it be...
May I finish
if it just takes a moment.
That's it. It will damage the credibility of the United Nations and its achievements in maintaining international peace and security and rule of law in international levels. Let us not forget, Israel is only regime in our region with nuclear weapons. It's refused to join the NPT and place its facilities under the IAEA safeguards. It has attacked almost all of its neighbors and continues to commit atrocity without consequences. Iran will continue to act within the framework of international law. We will defend ourselves lawfully and proportionately, but it's primary responsibility of international community, including United Kingdom, to maintain international peace and security. The international community must act now to stop the genocidal aggressor from committing further atrocity against our people. I thank you, Madam Terpre, for your attention, and other distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Can I begin by, I think, the question that many members of the British public may be asking, and they've heard it from those who have been thinking about this, and particularly those who are friends with Israel and who believe in Israel's right to exist and to be able to live in peace. And what they say is this: what is Israel to do when they have a belligerent neighbor who says things like Ahmadinejad said in 2005 that Israel should be wiped from the map, or that the Supreme Leader said that Israel was a dangerous and fatal cancer, or the Supreme Leader said, with Allah's help, there will be no such thing as a Zionist regime in 25 years. So there's this rhetoric. There's also, it is thought, that Iran supports and arms the Houthis, supports Hamas and Hezbollah, and that they're being used as proxies to attack Israel. So there are these two things. And then they see evidence of Iran not just having nuclear material, which is at 3.6%, which is the amount that is necessary for civilian use, but continues to enrich it, and certainly is at 60%. It may even be at 80 to 90% purity, and 90% purity is what's needed for a bomb. So those looking at this situation say, well, Israel may not have been directly attacked, but it looks like Iran may have up to 90% purity. They have proxies who are attacking it, and there is this belligerent language. What is Israel to do? And I think that question is an important one for me to ask you, and it's important for us to be able to have an answer. I appreciate it's quite a profound one, And I also just want to, if it's possible to give short answers,
Very,
if it's at
very.
all possible to answer such a profound question.
It's impossible,
shortly. I know,
but
I
I'm trying.
But we have a number of other questions to pile on after
Okay,
that. If
thank
that's
you.
all right, sir.
First of all, let me come to the raison d'être of the establishment of the Israeli regime. The Israeli regime established on occupation, established in apartheid, established for without any application of the right to self-determination of the Palestinian people. This is the main problem. This is the main problem. The Israeli regime cannot.
Doesn't answer.
I'm coming. So this is very important. You come to the root causes. If you want to have a good analysis, you should go to the history and study more about the details of these problems that we have in our region. Okay. Regarding for the matters related to from the Iranian side, regarding for the, some say, you mentioned that President Ahmadinejad or someone else, we always reiterated to the, convening of the one very public and fair referendum in the occupied territory, with the participation of the Jewish people, Christians, and Muslims, and in line with the self-determination of the people who are living there. There is no intention from the Iranian side to go to the military phase. This is the main problem. This is the main fundamental argument that we have. Regarding for you mentioned so-called practices, no. They have their own nations. In Yemeni people or in Palestinian people who, the Hamas people, all of them, the liberation organization, they are trying to, to achieve the self-determination, to punish the occupiers. That's it.
Okay.
You are providing arms to them. You are
regarding
arms and funding to ideological groups that share your view. And they are delivering the outcome that Iran wishes.
You see that we have the very important, Islamic Revolution. Islamic Revolution as the source of inspiration all of the people in our region. Islamic Revolution, insisted in self-determination. That's a very important right, and the elimination of all of the discrimination and apartheid in our region. This is not ideology. This is only legal matters according to the international law. From the Iranian side, that will inspire them. No, according to our international cooperation with international cooperation with all of the world.
So, Your Excellency, you're saying that
Yes.
that all that Iran supplies to the Houthis, to Hamas and Hezbollah is inspiration. That there is no assistance of any other sort. There's no weapons or any other support given to those groups by Iran.
You see, that Iran, as a sovereign state, has their own international cooperation with all of the world. It's very important. As your government has international cooperation with the Israeli regime. That it is very important and fundamental. If you want to intervene our relations with the other people, it's prohibited by international law. They are inspired by the Iranian Islamic Revolution. Islamic Revolution is a very important source of the self-determination, and so for, you see the combating all of the apartheid and discrimination in this region, not only this region, but also for all of the world. At that time that we had the same problem with the South Africa apartheid regime.
Before we go into that, may I go back to Edward, because I think you've got a wider question about where next.
Yes.
I do. I would take a slightly different view to what you've just outlined, Ambassador. I mean, members of the IRGC have been assassinated in Lebanon, they've been assassinated in Iraq, providing military training to Iranian proxies. So the idea that Iran isn't providing material support to countries that are attacking Israel, I'm not sure is backed up by the evidence on the ground. In terms of what Iran's escalation options are, is it Iran's intention to close the Straits of Hormuz?
What?
Is it Iran's intentions to close the Straits of Hormuz?
Yes. First of all, regarding for the our activities in Lebanon, in south of Lebanon, it comes to according to the request for their people and their government, because the Israeli regime invaded the Lebanon. Yes, this is the root causes, because the Israeli regime invaded the Lebanon, and the Lebanese people, Lebanese government requested to help them. It's a very simple. And so if you want to come to over that the IRGC send us some things for these issues, yes, IRGC is a very important and very one of the component of the Iranian system. It's a very ordinary, you have the same army in your country, in any other countries. Why are you blaming IRGC? Why are you?
I'm simply pointing out that there is evidence to suggest that counters your argument that Iran is not providing any material military aid.
Yes,
but we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, let's not get sidetracked.
I want to understand what Iran's plans are if it's not to come to the negotiating table. Does Iran plan to escalate the conflict by closing the Straits of Hormuz, or is Iran willing to rule that out completely? As a country that is heavily reliant on the free movement of goods around the globe, we obviously have a vested interest in freedom of navigation in the Straits of Hormuz. So on behalf of your government, can you make clear what its position and intentions are?
You see that always we are ready to have apply for diplomatic and negotiated solutions. We always declared that the first priority of the Islamic government, Iranian government, is diplomacy. We're very in middle of the diplomacy. We're very in middle of the negotiation with the American side. But unfortunately, Netanyahu destroyed it, but his aggression against us. Now I'm telling to you, Excellency, I'm telling to you that Iran now is several times. Yesterday that we had a meeting, we had a telephone conversation, our minister with your minister, the minister, Secretary Lamy, and the French and Chairman and the European Union. We declared that the first priority is diplomacy, provided subject to the ceasefire. The Israeli regime should stop their armed attack to the Iranian people and Iranian infrastructures. It's a very important.
It's very important to hear that, and that essentially you're saying that what Iran wants is a ceasefire and they want to go back to negotiations.
Yeah.
What is the bottom line when it comes to negotiations? Because there clearly have been changes. There has been the IEA inspectors say that they're not getting the access that they used to. They're concerned about what Iran is actually doing with its nuclear material, and the nuclear material seems to be being made increasingly pure. So if there were to be negotiations, would there be a change in the Iranian position vis-a-vis nuclear enrichment?
Yes. Regarding that, as a responsible member state of the IEA, we had a very extensive and comprehensive cooperation with the IEA, before the JCPOA and after the JCPOA. You see, JCPOA has their legal requirement upon us, and the other hand, IEA, the safeguard agreement. In JCPOA, we accepted, besides of the IEA statute and safeguard department, we have the other extra monitoring will be monitored by the IEA and our voluntary activities to attract the international community trust to us, make a confidence building, because Iran is totally, Iranian nuclear peaceful activities is totally peaceful. And according to this, IEA produced 15 reports that there is no any deviation, there is no any diversion from the Iranian nuclear activities from the peacefully to military phase.
The problem was,
but after the JCPOA, it's very important. Yeah. After the JCPOA squandered by United States, the Trump administration, in the first presidency phase, You know, we refer to the European countries that please do your obligations, and there is no doubt we will expect fulfill your expectation. But unfortunately, E3 did not have any good functions in this regard, because all of them saying and observing what United States telling them. Yes, this is the problem.
I think I think that you would find many people who would agree that it was very unfortunate that the original agreement was not stuck to, and that the Americans walked away from it. But we are where we are now, and the IEA, the last report from the IEA, didn't say. Surely you understand. The rest of the world found it quite worrying. If I may, but may I was going to go on to Blair, but may I move to Abdeslam first, because what she says I think next is going to be of relevance, because you were...
Thank you, Chair. Ambassador, a question I have is there have been numerous media reports in relation to Iran preparing a bill in Parliament to leave the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. Why would Iran do this?
You see that in our system, that the Parliament is an independent organ in our system, and so they can submit draft law for everything. One of them is denunciation from the NPT, but it is not yet adopted by the Parliament. This is not our intention. That the government, according to our defense doctrine, according to our religious teachings, and according to our international obligations, including the NPT, there is no choice going to exit to NPT. But this is one of the proposals raised by the Iranian parliamentarian peoples.
Does this give the indication, by leaving the NPT, that you intend to militarize your nuclear facilities?
No. There is no. I told you that different mass destruction weapons. There is no any status in our doctrine, defense doctrine. We are the member of the CWC. We are the member of NPT. We are the member of BWC.
So why not remain a member of the NPT? Why leave?
It depends. It depends the situation. According to Article 10 of the NPT, it's very important. Every state party, if they feel that the vital interest has been threatened by somebody, at that time we are going to review. There is no doubt about it. Because you see, please give me the photos of the innocent people. Our innocent people, all of them are being killing. We are responsible for these people. All of them. This one, Ehsan Eshraqi and Baran Eshraqi, father and girl. His daughter.
We have a...
Mahia Nikzad.
Sorry, Ambassador, we actually have a...
It's a very important. This is the innocent people and civilian. I am representative of these people in this country.
No, it's all right. It's so sorry. We have rules about props and not showing photographs and so on. I'm so sorry. And as I said at the outset, we're completely sympathetic to and think that the deaths of civilians on both sides is simply appalling, and want it to stop. And that's really what this hearing is about.
Thank you.
Can I move on to Blair?
Ambassador, you spoke with apparent passion at the beginning of your statement about how dangerous the world would be if we embolden aggression and don't act within international law. The Chair asked you for short questions, so I'll give you the opportunity to give a short answer. How many Iranian Shahed drones have been fired by Putin at Ukraine over the last 3 years?
You mean that how many drones?
How many Shahed drones, Iranian Shahed drones, have been fired by Putin at Ukraine over the last 3 years?
You see,
I'm just looking for a number.
I will reply to you. Yes, there is no doubt. The Russian and Iranian defense cooperations originate more than 20 years ago.
You know the number?
No, I don't know.
I'll tell you the number. The number is 8,000. Okay, I put it to you that if we do live in a world now where violence and might are taking precedent over law and right, I would suggest that the Iranian regime has a deep responsibility for that. Let me ask you another question, and again, this is a question with a simple number as an answer. The Director General of MI5 identified a number of plots backed by Iran in this country, including lethal threats against Iranian dissidents and against Jewish communities here. How many plots had he identified in the last 3 years?
He claimed 22, but
Yep.
let me answer to you. Let me answer to you. First of all, this is very important. Please correct your wording that the Iranian government is a lawful and very important and significant and respectful government.
What's the
And
legal,
there is no
what's the
need
legal
to using
basis
the
for
regime
Putin's
for
war?
them. Excuse me.
What's the legal basis for Putin's war then, if you are such a supporter of international law?
Let me. I'm telling to you correct your wording regarding for my government. My government is a legal government, and there is no doubt about it. But you should use the regime. It's a very lawful and legally responsible state in the world.
What's the legal basis for Putin's war in Ukraine?
Let me. I will answer you. Please,
you're a fan
please
of
let me
international
finish.
law.
You see, regarding for the Oregon defense cooperation that Iran and the Russian Federation, it's a very important, and we declared to the Russian side not to use our cooperation with the third party against the third party. You can ask them.
8,000 Shahid drones fired at Ukraine. We're not allowed to do props, but seeing as you did, there is one of your drones hitting an apartment block in Kyiv.
You can
last
ask this
night.
question from the Russian Federation, sir.
They're your weapons.
You can ask this question. I'm asking this question from your side that using, or the American side that using the same military equipment against the Iranian people. You do not have any defense cooperation or military cooperation between Israel and Britain?
I'm suggesting.
No. Please
I'm suggesting.
yes or no. Yes or no. Excellency.
You're
yes
here
or
to
no.
answer questions, Ambassador.
Oh, no, this is
I'm
very
suggesting
important.
your moral
If you-
authority is shredded by your support for
If you
Putin.
ask me to answer you, Excellency, if you ask me to answer your question, there is your duty to answer my question, because this is the dialogue room. I came here to declare our concerns to the one responsible state, the United Kingdom. I respect the United Kingdom for his achievement to the human, community in the world.
I think.
And the United Kingdom is a member state of the United Security Council of the United Nations. Why don't you condemn the Israeli arm attack to Iran? You didn't condemn it.
Your Excellency,
And regarding for the plots,
Your Excellency, we're very. Your Excellency, we're very
asked
grateful.
me one question regarding for the MI5. May I ask you? May I answer to?
No, wait.
Okay,
But,
please.
what I would like to do.
Okay,
is,
please.
If we could just take a breath.
Okay,
It is really, we are very grateful to you for coming.
thank you.
And the evidence that you've given in the round is what's important. And it's the evidence that you give, and we listen to what it is that you say. And what we're trying
Thank
to
you.
do by asking questions is to test what you're saying.
Thank you so much.
But we're not really in a position to speak on behalf of the British government. We are here to test your evidence, to try to make a contribution, which is so that we can hear the Iranian point of view, but not just take it at face value, but also to test it. And that is what we're trying to do in good faith. And I have a few people who still want to have questions.
Okay.
Perhaps I should go to Sir John first, and then I'll go on the other side.
Thank you. I'd just like to follow up Blair's question, Ambassador. You'll be aware that the British government has said that Iran represents one of the greatest threats to the security of the United Kingdom, and for that reason has been placed, the first nation to be placed on the enhanced tier of a foreign influence registration scheme. Now, you referred in your opening remark to the attack on the Iranian Broadcasting Organization, and you described that as a war crime. I've been to visit Iran International, which is based in London, whose journalists have been subjected to threats from Iran on a daily basis, where a journalist was stabbed in a London street and where Iranian citizens are currently being accused of conducting that. I've also talked to BBC Persian journalists whose families are being daily harassed by the Iranian regime in Tehran. So why are those not war crimes, and how do you defend the behaviour of the Iranian government?
I think this is an irrelevant question. I'm sorry, sir, because I'm telling you regarding for the Israeli aggression. But with your respect, I will respond to you. I do believe that regarding for these claims has been raised by different people, we need evidences. We need evidences. Several times we declared to the Foreign Office to have some consultation meetings with the military services regarding for the address all of these issues. These issues are some allegations and blaming against my country. Yes, we have some criticism regarding for the BBC Persian activities. They are going to making some, intervening of our Iranian domestic affairs. But according to our British bilateral diplomatic relations, we several times we suggested to British authority to consider in bilateral consultations. There is no doubt about it that if you have any evidences, please submit. We will consider it. But sometimes making some allegation and something with regarding after that, Excellency mentioned for the report of the MI5. Several times, more than 10 times, we declared by verbal note in diplomatic negotiation, please send we will send our security services to have this kind of, to resolve these matters raising in our bilateral relations. We have very, constructive, business-like diplomatic relations. Your ambassador, Mr. Hugo Schurter, is working in Tehran in your embassy, and I came to London after the vacancy of the 3 years. We do not have any ambassador, and I am very keen to provide and prepare different cooperation between Iran and United Kingdom. I'm assure you, sir, that Iranian side is ready to cooperate for everything. Cultural, economic, security, everything. According to your evidences that you have, or evidences, we can share it.
Ambassador, the statement by the Director General of the Security Service that there have been over 20 assassination and abduction plots, that has no, the Iranian government has no responsibility for those. And you referred earlier to your support for freedom of the press in terms of the Iranian Broadcasting Corporation. So whilst you may have criticisms of the BBC Persian service, there has been no harassment or intimidation of their relatives, and you have not, the government of Iran is not responsible for any threats against Iranian journalists based in London working for Iran International. Is that the case?
I told you, Excellency, I told you that these matters should be considered. Should be considered between the expertise groups. This is some claims. Please, there is no doubt that the Iranian side is ready to cooperate with the British side to consider and remove this kind of misunderstandings.
Alex.
Ambassador, you talked at the start in your statement about Israel attacking civilian nuclear facilities across Iran. I understand from wide reporting that Iran has been enriching uranium up to 60% in a large quantity, and now up to 80 or 90%, in both cases, in fact, there is no civilian purpose for this uranium. It can only be moving towards the development of a nuclear weapon. What justification is Iran giving for enriching this uranium, for moving beyond any civilian needs?
You see that, first of all, that all of this enrichment has been declared to this AEI. Now, during our war with the Israeli regime, there are some IAEA inspectors in Natanz, in other nuclear facilities in Iran. They are monitoring all of our nuclear activities, including the enrichment. And so, according to the expertise, according to the different people who are professional, they're professional in the nuclear matters, that this kind of enrichments only for peaceful activities. That's it. We do not have any aim. And
what are these peaceful activities? Because of course,
regarding
most nuclear reactors use 3%.
Yeah, you can ask this question from the different experts people, technical people. Yeah, I'm telling to you, I learned these matters from them, and according to their explanation, all of these matters has been monitored by the IAEA. There are some ambiguities that we declare to the IAEA that we are ready to remove any ambiguities. There is no any intention from our side going to enrich to the level of the nuclear bomb, but unfortunately, politically motivated activities of the E3 in the recent meeting session of the Board of Governors of IAEA make another mistake that Israeli regime used this pretext to attack us. But yes, regarding for your question, I'm telling you, every activities of the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization are peacefully. There is no. You can ask the sophisticated questions with the experts.
I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to put context in so that the public understand. The International Atomic Energy Agency's Board of Governors on the 13th of June formally declared Iran in breach of its non-proliferation obligations for the first time in 20 years. And I think that's the reference that you're making to politically motivated attacks. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the belief of many of us in here that there is no civilian justification for the enrichment of uranium up to the point that you've suggested, and it does put credence to the fact that Iran is developing a nuclear weapon and is a threshold state almost. And you can understand why a country such as Israel that has been threatened so many times by Iran would find that as an extremely serious security threat.
You see that I think that if you have any problems, any differences between Iran and IAEA, all of the matters should be addressed through the diplomacy and according to the technical consultations, not giving the pretext for the one illegal and legitimate regime like Israel to attack us.
Thanks, mate, because we're running out of time. Do you mind if I
finally? Please do.
I just want to get. I think Edward had another question, and I think Dan had one too.
I just wanted to follow up on Alex's point, Ambassador, which I think there's a sort of realpolitik element to this, which is that Iran wants there to be a ceasefire before there's a negotiation. The position of Israel and the United States is that Iran needs to give up its enrichment program and return at the very least to a civilian level. Given that Iran has effectively lost control of its airspace, given that the IDF can act with impunity across Iran, your proxies are refusing to respond to Israel's attack, you are rapidly running out of ballistic missiles to respond to Israel attacks. I mean, the reality on the ground would dictate that Iran has very little scope but to enter the negotiation table and to make. Why won't Iran, if it has no nuclear weapon ambition, just say that the price of the ceasefire that you're willing to pay is to give up your nuclear enrichment program?
You see, the main problem that regarding in this phase, removing the main intention from our side, removing any concern, any worries from the different countries in international community, especially the European countries, that for Iranian, the essence of the Iranian nuclear activities. We assure you that there is no any limitation from our side to remove any concerns. We declared this is our priority. We declared this is our priority to remove any misunderstanding. We do not want to achieve nuclear weapon. We have, during the 15 reports of the IAEA, during the implementation of the JCPOA, we declare, we show our intention. We showed our intention that Iran has not any desire to produce the nuclear bomb. This is because these are responsible member states of the NPT, and as well as
ground The reality on the ground dictates that in the
No,
current
the
situation,
reality of the grounds is an inspector of the IAEA. IAEA has a very different
price of a
interaction with us.
ceasefire is going to be giving up your nuclear enrichment. That's the obvious situation on the ground right now. So my question is, why won't Iran simply commit, if you have no nuclear ambitions, simply commit to ceasing the enrichment, hand over what has been enriched, and go back to 3.6% civilian? That would be
There is no doubt that we agree with you, but through the diplomacy, not arm attacked.
The other thing which I think many people may wonder about is, and I think it is this point about Iran may be very close to being able to build a nuclear bomb.
Why?
Because the IAEA has said that you've breached it, and because of the amount of because the nuclear material is becoming so pure and is much more pure than is needed. But I think the counter argument, which people do need to hear, and I think is something that that needs to be expressed here today, is that if Iran has been a few months close to being able to build something, and still hasn't over a period of many years. So Edward's question is, if it's true that you don't intend to go any further, first of all, why do you have material of such purity? And secondly, if you don't intend to use it, the price may be for peace to go back to the 3.6% that you would need just to be able to use it for civilian purposes. And that, we hope, would mean that civilians would stop being killed on both sides.
All of our nuclear activities are purely peaceful, and all of them are monitored by IAEA. There was some ambiguities raised by the non-implementation of the JCPOA by the European and American side. It makes a problem for us. That we did all of the obligations through the Safeguard Part Agreement and as well as the statute of the IAEA.
Yeah.
And please accept our assurances that the Iranian side, in the Iranian system, there is no desire, there is no any intention to produce the nuclear bomb. It is very important. It's not only for international obligation. This is our religious teachings that all of the mass destruction weapons are prohibited according to the Shia, Sharia, and Islamic.
There's a fatwa to that.
Yes, there's a fatwa of our supreme leader.
Obviously, a fatwa can be changed, I suppose, would be the counter argument. But may I just go to the last question, and I'm going to ask Dan Carden.
I think we might be interrupted by bells, but I'll have a go.
Try.
Welcome, Ambassador. It strikes me that any attempt to get to a diplomatic outcome is going to require trust on all sides, and trust is something that the Iranian regime simply doesn't have. And you talked in your opening remarks about international law, you talked about the loss of civilian life, and I wanted to ask you about reports that the Iranian regime itself has widespread...
Iranian government.
Regime has murdered over 1,000 of its citizens in 2024. And I wanted to ask you, do you know how many of your own citizens the Iranian regime has murdered this year in 2025?
You see, there is a very, very, I'm sorry, Excellency, there is a very dangerous and mystic assumption in your question. Your question is not correct.
The UN figures.
Yes, let me. I'm telling to you as an Iranian ambassador to you, why are you referring to the other misunderstanding, misinformation, disinformations? This is all of them totally wrong. I'm telling to you this. I'm telling to you, nobody perfect, but we do have some problems. But this kind of question has their own false assumption and based on misunderstanding and misperceptions. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. And my apologies. We have to go and vote. But I do want to thank you for coming in this afternoon. I hope that people watching have had a proper insight into your perspective, and I hope that those watching have also seen us challenge some of the things that you've said, but hopefully it will amount to greater understanding between us, and we do hope that there will be peace in the near future and there will be de-escalation of this conflict.
I'm very thankful for you, Madam Thornberry, for your invitation and give me this chance to, review my, to declare my point of views to you. I'm all of this distinguished peoples here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.